So welcome to the 2026 FRQ free response for AP Computer Science A. What I'm going to be doing in these next few videos is just kind of walking through what the solutions would be like if I was taking the exam. One, so that you can kind of get an idea of what it's like in the thought process behind walking through these and answering them, but also so that you can kind of see how you did prior to the actual answers coming out as well. We're going to start off by walking through kind of question one. I'll go through explaining it, and then I'll kind of walk through how I would go about coding it once we kind of understand the requirements. So jumping straight into it, this is all available online from College Board, so you can find these same questions here, and once they release it, you will also find the answers as well. So we'll walk through question one together. I'll just kind of read the problem, and then we'll kind of dive into it. So this first question is going to involve creating an account class. This is going to be used to represent user accounts for a specific website. And they give us a few helper methods, is available, which just basically tells us whether a username is available or not. And our job is going to be to create a constructor and a method in the account class. So it's broken up into two parts, a part A as well as a part B. And you'll notice right here, it gives us a private instance variable called username that is a string, and we're going to actually be initializing this in part A. So the first one we'll be tackling is this constructor. And all this constructor will be doing is creating a username based on the parameter that's passed in, this requested name. If it's unavailable, we're going to be appending integers to it, beginning with 1 until an available username is found. And then once that is found, we will essentially be assigning it the value. So you'll see here, it kind of re-walks through that. This is very useful, kind of restates a lot of that, but it also gives us a few examples, which is really nice. And I'll actually be creating like a driver method so we can actually test it and run it so we can see how that looks. So this one example they give us, Lewis-Cruz, and it tells us that this username is not available. The constructor will check the availability of that and then append 1, 2, 3, and so on until eventually that username is found. So let's jump right into this, what this would look like together. Okay, so I have the stub of the class, the instance variables defined here, as well as some of the prompts, and then the helper method that doesn't give us an implementation, but that is kind of irrelevant. All we know is that if we pass in a string, it will tell us that it's available. It'll either return true if it is available or false if it is not. So what do we need to do? Well, let's first kind of walk through this together. So the first thing that we need to do is to be able to to create a username based on the parameter, right? If the username is unavailable, we're going to be appending successive integers to it until eventually it is found. So one of the very first things that's straightforward to do is to essentially say, right, if it's available, we can simply initialize it, right? If I can spell. So in this case, there's a lot of different ways to do this, but one of the more straightforward ways to do it is to just simply pass it in. If it's available, then we can simply, right, set username equal to the requested name, right? This is a way for us to kind of terminate early. We don't have to do any kind of special logic past that. Now, the other thing, once we've accomplished this, we now need to account for the case where the username is unavailable, right? So how can we go about doing that? Well, one of the ways that I would go about doing that is through the use of a while loop. So first we need to kind of initialize that integer that it's talking about. In this case, we can call it anything, but we will call it append int. And we're going to start it off at the value of 1 because that's what it tells us to do. Here, we're just going to create a simple string that's going to represent the modified string here. And we can simply concatenate the requested name and append int. The reason we can kind of do this right away beforehand is because we know that if it made it this far, then that username essentially was not available, right? From here, we can simply do a check. So is available will allow us to basically say, hey, it's available or not. And we can do a check on that same modified request name. So if we determine that is available returns false, right? Either this or by directly checking if is available is equal to false. Whichever you prefer, whichever is easier to understand, either one works. If we determine that, hey, it is essentially unavailable, we can append the int, or we can update it by 1, and we would update our modified request name to basically append the new int. Notice that we didn't change this because we do want to keep that original one, and we're just going to be changing the content. So essentially this is saying if is available is equal to false, which essentially means that it is not available. We're going to keep doing this until eventually we hit a place where it is available. Once we have effectively finished this loop, that means that, hey, we have found something that is available, and we can simply just update our username with that modified requested name that we've been updating this entire time. So this is one of the ways that we can kind of go about solving this particular problem for the constructor. We just want to kind of, the biggest thing is breaking it down into parts, a part A that we can solve and then a part B. And once we combine both solutions, we will have the answer. So this is part A. Let's take a look at part B here next.